It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru, Sanda, Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with
Akosua, Otchere.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes, the Citi is doing well against the dollar. Fuel prices are reducing, a sign of positive things to come. Also, would that mean the cost of transport will be reduced? That's a discussion and analysis here on Eyewitness News. Also, coming up,
if we stop being beggars and spend Africa's monies inside the continent, Africa would not need to ask for respect from anyone.
President Akosua begs African leaders to stop begging at a forum that was organized in the land of the people we go to beg from. An irony, is it? We'll be asking that question here on Eyewitness News. And later on Eyewitness News,
Achatala in the series! The Moroccan miracle is still on!
It's a night that the Moroccan national team carries the hopes and dreams of the continent of Africa as they play the defending World Cup champions France. Will be live in their capital Rabat to test the mood ahead of the crucial semi-finals, which will be in some 2 hours from now. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Ghana's inflation rate soars further to hit 50.3% in November 2022.
That's in 50 minutes with Netili Neti of the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations, including Tungsung 97.3 FM in Wa in the Upper West region, Tanga 93.7 FM in Bolga in the Upper East region, Radio Bimbila 91.9 FM in the Northern region, Revival 99.3 FM in Tajevu, and Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, both in the Volta region. In the Ashanti region, we are on Focus 94.3 FM in Kumasi, Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Western region, we are on Beach 105.5 FM in Takrady, Sky Power 93.5 FM also in Takrady. Do send us your message. The WhatsApp number is 0549 986 996. 0549 986 996. Do send us your messages on Facebook. If you're watching us live on Facebook, drop your messages and the world will hear. What do you think? This is Eyewitness News broadcasting from Adabraka in Accra. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu here with Akosua Otchere, who brings us our first story.
Continuous increases in prices of housing, electricity, and other fuels have pushed Ghana's inflation rate to hit 50.3% for the month of November 2022. This was captured in the Consumer Price Index data released by the Ghana Statistical Service on Wednesday. Per the data, food inflation hit 55.3% from October's rate of 43.7%, and also non-food inflation also shot up by 7.2% to 46.5% in November. Here's the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobina Enim, highlighting the impact of the main drivers on the increases.
On a year-on-year basis, inflation stood at 50.3%, indicating that prices of goods and services between November 2021 and November 2022 went up by 50.3%. Disaggregating this from a food and non-food inflation perspective, food inflation recorded November 2022 inflation 55.3%, non-food inflation 46.5%, indicating an 8.8 percentage point difference between food and non-food inflation for the month of November 2022. From the perspective of locally produced items and imported items continue to record the highest rate of inflation of 55.1%, rising from 43.7% for the month of October 2022, and inflation for locally produced items 48.3%, again indicating an increase from 39.1% for the month of October 2022. Between domestic inflation and inflation of imported items, the differential was 6.8 percentage points for the month of November 2022.
On a regional level, Eastern region recorded the highest inflation rate of 63.3%. This was followed by the Greater Accra region with an inflation rate of 61.6%. Professor Samuel Kobna Enin, the government statistician, explained what is accounting for this trend.
From a regional perspective, we identified Eastern region recording the highest rate of inflation of 63.3% and the Volta region recording the least inflation of 34.5%. On a month-on-month basis, between October 2022 and November 2022, prices of goods and services went up by 8.6%, having recorded a 2.7 rate of inflation for the month of October 2022. Disaggregating this from a food and non-food perspective, on a month-on-month basis, food inflation stood at 10.4% relative to 8.6% for overall, and non-food inflation 7.2%.
That was the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobna Enin.
This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studios in Adabraka in Accra. So inflation is still rising. Let's test that first before we look at other factors in the space that we are considering: the exchange rate, which is also a big issue, and the cost of fuel. Professor Peter Quote is an economist, and he's joined us for some analysis on this. Prof, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, and good evening to your discerning listeners.
Good evening to you too. It appears that inflation just keeps skyrocketing, and it has shown no sign of coming down, even though we are seeing some positive figures from the exchange rate table. Is it the case that we are reaping the negative benefits of what we have sold over the years, and for which reason our inflation keeps rising that much?
Yes, to some extent. But let me say that if you look at inflation, it's demand and supply causes of inflation. What we've seen is that the global oil price increases, as well as the global food supply chain challenges, the Russia-Ukraine war effect, and the general cost of living, particularly the depreciation of the city. We import oil, finished product. So anytime the exchange rate depreciates, it has a knock-on effect on fuel prices at the pump, and also has some through effect on prices, general prices, food items, and many other sectors. So the exchange rate is a major anchor, and we've seen the exchange rate depreciate quite rapidly. It was less than 6 cedis or so at the beginning of the year, and then it rose as high as 15, 16 to the dollar. Thankfully, it's coming down, and we are likely to see the effect in the coming month or two. So that is a major factor. Yes, you mentioned about the things of the past. That is very true. We have borrowed, compared to our neighbors, we have borrowed quite rapidly and so high that our debt GDP ratio is one of the highest within the sub-region. So when you borrow to that extent and you have no room or any cushion, any room for any eventuality, when the shocks arrive, then you are caught hands down. So exactly what we find ourselves in, we have borrowed too much. When the Russian-Ukraine war and the other things set in, we have no cushion, we have no buffer. We couldn't borrow again to stabilize the exchange rate, and that had knock-on effects on food prices, on many other items on the market as well.
It's often said that it will get worse before it gets better, but how worse is it going to get? Looking at the trend that we've been recording, the Statistical Service has been making the announcement, and even talking about the Statistical Service, the figures that are coming through, considering that the Statistical Service is a government agency, and over the period we know how people have been treating government agencies, is it possible that even the figures that are being reported are quote-unquote massaged?
Interesting. Yes, it gets worse before it gets better, but I think we are gradually seeing some signs. I mean, you find that on the exchange rate market. It tells you that the market is gradually stabilizing. But in fact, we will not see it now. Maybe if you see December figures and January figures, we see some tapering of the rate of inflation. But having said that, I think with the figures that we are seeing, Statistical Service has been the only mandated institution with the resources to collect the kind of data that we need to analyze inflation. I don't think any other institution has the capacity to do so. And these are the figures we have relied on over the years. I think it's not 100%, but it's close to the ideal. And therefore, one can confidently say that the figures we are turning is what is guiding us in terms of inflation. I don't think anybody who out there would massage figures. That unit is headed by a very competent colleague of mine, and I'm very confident that he would not be coerced or he would not do that. So those are the figures, and that is why our rate of inflation is even higher than what you find in the sub-region. If it was massaged, we will try and be at par with other West African or other regions, but ours is one of the highest. It tells you that there's very little or no massaging. Or, I mean, it may have little errors, data collection. You might have errors, human errors here and there, but I think on the whole, I am very confident in the figures that are being shown now.
I think the one that hits hard or hardest would be the food inflation, and that one is physical. We see it in the markets. The Ministry of Agri intervened by bringing foodstuffs to Accra to sell with the hope that people would be getting food at cheaper rates. Do you think that was a policy that perhaps can help deal with the situation, or it is just one small drop in a mighty ocean of problems?
I think that it sent a signal, though, that it could be done, I mean, across the country. But I feel it's a knee-jerk reaction. We could have done better than that. You see, growing up, we had food distribution company, the Ghana Food Distribution Company, that had kiosks across different parts of the country, especially the urban areas. So they were distributing food. So if we want to go that route, I expect the Ministry of Agriculture to work through either the buffer stock company or have some of this distribution outlets. But if you just centralize at the ministry, how many people can go to the ministry to go, and you saw what the market women were doing. They hustle and jostling for plantain, and how many decent people like you and I, maybe you may be able to do that, but I am not strong enough to go and fight for plantain, etc. So I think we can do this in a much more organized manner. It's a positive signal that you don't want to encourage profiteering, so you send a signal to the market queens. But I think we could have done this better.
Very well. What about the Citi? It seems to be looking good on the forex tables. What are we getting right? Or this is just a natural order of things which we do not really play any role in?
I think I see some self-correction happening. I mean, the rate of depreciation was very abnormal. We haven't seen that in a very long time. The loss of credibility in the currency, in the local economy, made people change every city they had into dollars and kept as a store of value. With the IMF coming on board, I mean, the progress made so far with the IMF is sending positive signals. The debt exchange itself, initially, people were not sure of the nature, the form of the debt exchange program. So they were very apprehensive. They kept their money in all forms of investment. Some kept it in homes. But now that it's been announced that individuals might not suffer, treasury bill holders will not suffer, individual bond holders will not suffer, it's much clearer now. I think that communication could have come a bit earlier than before, but better late than never. So that's sending a very positive signal to the market that, look, this is it. And we saw that the treasury bill market, I mean, the auction that was done was oversubscribed. It tells you that now people are moving into treasury bills. They don't have more confidence in investing in government treasury bills, etc. So all of that, plus the Bank of Ghana's own monetary policy, the tightening of the monetary money supply, and then by increasing the policy rate itself is also a signal. Then the idea that the supply of dollars to the OMC itself is helping in terms of pressure on the exchange rate, as well as the ban on the supply of foreign currency the ban on certain imports that we are not going to supply foreign currency to import certain commodities. All of that is saving, putting less pressure on the dollar. So it's all contributing towards that. Then finally, one can talk about the global market. Oil prices are declining. There is a prediction that there's going to be a recession in Europe and across parts of the world in 2023. So demand for oil itself is going to go down. And if that happens, we need less dollars to import our oil. And that is also helping ease off the pressure on the exchange. So it's a combination of factors that is causing the relative stability we are seeing on the exchange rate market.
So we should be hopeful that it is going to be getting better at the forex bureaus.
I am very confident. I'm hopeful, especially if we're able to sail through the IMF program. That is going to bring in about $3 billion. Then the other bilateral donors will come on board to give us loans at concessional rates better than what we've been borrowing on the capital markets at 8 to 9%. Their rates are usually lower, 2%, 1%, etc. So we should be going for more of that if they are available. And that would increase the supply of foreign currency on the market. The confidence factor, the confidence that the IMF brings on board. But having said that, I think any IMF program also comes with a pain. Debt restructuring is bringing pain. No freeze on employment is going to bring pain in hardship, and many other things that an austerity program brings to a country. But these are temporary measures that if we are able to go through, will stabilize and pick up the pieces.
Would this affect the inflation for this month when it is reported next month?
I should expect some, if it's going to increase at all, marginal increase, I should expect inflation to start going down, given that prices at the pumps is going down, given that exchange rate is also relatively stabilizing. The only challenge you have in Ghana is that prices are sticky downwards. When things are not okay, quickly traders, market women, we increase our prices. But when things are favorable, a downward reduction is very sticky. We are very slow in responding. But I expect that the pressure would ensure that they reduce their prices. Otherwise, people will not buy.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Prof.
My pleasure.
That's Professor Peter Quartey, is an economist. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. So if the Citi is doing well and the cost of crude is also going down, then what the natural expectation would be is that when you board your trotro home tonight, the fare should be down. And also it means that at the fuel station, your fuel should not cost as much as it was costing a few weeks ago. But the people who are supposed to be in charge of that, and even in the markets, the people who sell to you, who have blamed the CD and the petrol for the cost of the things in their shops, they should also be reducing their things, shouldn't they? That's the next conversation we're going to have when we come back. Please stay.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
But why all this laughter?
Kwaku gave me 6,000 cedis for shopping for some electrical appliances.
Yes. What about that?
I came home with exactly what he ordered, and I still had 3,000 Ghana cedis on me.
Wow. But it's only NASCO offering this promotion this season.
Of course, yes. It's NASCO. You think you are the only one who knows NASCO brings home happiness? He's been wondering why I don't ask him for money after the shopping.
That's 50% discount power. This season, a NASCO massive discount. It's NASCO the new promo. What are you waiting for? This season, we are offering massive discounts up to 50%. Yes, on selected items from NASCO.
Call 0242 439 437. NASCO, bring home happiness.
Fine, anyone can become the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anyone. Whether market woman, student, professional, even fisherman or cobbler. YugoFlip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand the chance of winning a house, cash,
or other prizes,
such as savings towards the house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yugoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win.
Contact us on 0555 22 2490. YugoFlip.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News on 97.3 CTFM. Duncan Amwa is Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers. Duncan, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. The fuel station boards are looking beautiful now, aren't they? What's accounting for that?
Sanda, good evening. Good evening to your listeners. Indeed, we would expect to see them a lot more beautiful than they currently are. And I think I would use your medium to appeal to the various OMCs to ensure that Ghanaians do get the kind of relief that they deserve following from the strong showing of the city, and then again also from international price indexes, which are also doing quite well currently. If you are a consumer, globally, crude has done about 8% within the past 10 days reduction. You talk of petrol, you are doing 9% per metric. You talk of diesel, you do more than 8% for diesel, whilst LPG is around 7.5% drop within the last 10 days. Coupled with this is also a very strong currency, whose, if you measure over the past 2 weeks, it's probably recording between 30 and 40% appreciation from the 14.8 previous figures to currently. When I checked as of this evening before this interview, some of the forex bureaus were actually quoting 8.8, 8.6. That is quite a jump. And so, like Professor Peter Korte indicated, the hikes that we saw in the month of October, September ending October, if you just oppose with what the dynamics currently look like, one would expect that we would have a lot more relief than the market so far has thrown at us. Per our calculations in-house, we would be expecting that within the coming window, which starts on the 16th, which is Friday, perhaps you shouldn't be paying more than 13 Ghana cedis for petrol. You shouldn't also be paying anything more than 15 Ghana cedi for a liter of diesel, while LPG is also to decline by at least 10% on current prices per kilogram. Sanda.
And this next window should be by what time?
It's to commence on the 16th, and so that should be on Friday. Already, let me comment one of the OMC's Star Oil. We've been sending commendation notes. They have already taken the lead, dropping pump prices from previous, is it 14.48? They've dropped by almost 1 Ghana cedi even before the new window began. Others, I'm sure, have seen Zen Petroleum also done some reductions even before the second window for December kicks in. So our expectations are quite high. I did speak to a section of the BDC market. They are probably looking to do anything between 8 and almost 15%. And so, Sanda, all things being equal, Ghanaians should go into the Christmas festivity with fuel prices much lower than the past 2-3 months has thrown at us. We are looking at possibly going beyond the 10 Ghana per litre mark in the coming days if the Citi's run should be sustained. But that said, the coming window, which commences on Friday, it is our expectation that most of the major oil marketing companies within Ghana will probably be trading petrol between 12 and 13 Ghana cedis, whilst diesel could go for anything around 15 Ghana cedis a litre.
You do not see any mishap coming up where we would be paying more than we are currently paying based on maybe an unforeseen circumstance, perhaps Russia's bombs drop further into the heart of Ukraine?
Sanda, the figures that we are talking of currently are weighted averages over the past fortnight. So like I indicated, the past 10 days are saying a relatively solid run of the local currency. That cannot be taken away from us. So if we woke up tomorrow morning and the cedi is even depreciating, what is due Ghanaians currently is the 2-week weighted average figures for which we think that anything between 8 and 15% by Friday could be fair. We do not foresee any of the OMCs resisting or trying to, come back with the same old games that, if you recall in the past, whenever prices are to head downwards, you hear excuses of we made losses in previous windows, and because of those losses, we'll stay prices, and in order to be able to recoup those losses. We do not anticipate any of the OMCs doing this. In fact, we think it will be the best Christmas present that they can give Ghanaians following from a very, very, very hectic year, as 2022 has clearly panned out to be.
Should we also expect a gift from the Chocho owners?
Sanda, I must admit that I'm the first to always defend the commercial transport operators when it comes to their fare adjustment or increases. We would use your medium equally to join the many Ghanaians, the millions who are clearly waiting for our commercial transport operators to show a sign of good faith with them in these times. If you recall, the last time commercial transport fares were adjusted, you were looking at fuel prices hovering around 13 Ghana cedi. Then they did a 19%. Then we jumped to 16, and then diesel went to about 23. And then they came back to add another 20%, which escalated, transport fares completely. At this point, diesel is not doing too badly. At least there's been some 5 Ghana cedi reduction. If you add what we are expecting on Friday to come to about 15 Ghana cedis, from 23 to 15 Ghana cedis, Sanda, 8 Ghana cedi is such a jump. We will be utterly disappointed if any of the commercial transport operators from Friday continue to make the excuses that they have made in recent times that they are not going to reduce transport fares. Sanda, this will not just be a radio conversation. We will take steps equally to also approach them, to explain to them the need to drop, the very high transport fares that Ghanaians are currently being charged. Because if your fuel has done almost 30-40% drop, it doesn't bode well or in the line of, good faith and proper public interest argument for any of the transport operators, including the VVIP. If you recall, they also had come out to increase their fares generously not long ago for the long distance travels. We will be approaching all of them, and it will be our expectation that at least the kind of relief that the city is throwing to the economy currently, the kind of relief that international benchmarks are also throwing at fuel consumers, the trotro operators or the commercial transport operators will not go to sleep on this and make excuses, and that they reduce transport fares forthwith, because there will be no justification whatsoever for them to continue to charge the sort of high fares we are seeing. If this is done, Sanda, our expectation will be that the kind of prices you find on the market, like your introductory bit said, prices could cool down a bit, could cool off. The markets that have been boiling the past few weeks could actually cool down, and Ghanaians can have a very normal Christmas as we would all expect. But the transport operators would need to start and show the way immediately.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time, Duncan.
Thank you, Sanda.
That's Duncan Amwa. He's Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC. Now, let's hear from the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Godfred Abobre is the General Secretary. Godfred, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing well, and it looks like we are having some bonus coming our way before Christmas, and the expectation is that you, the commercial bus operators, would transfer that to us as well, or translate it to us. What's your reaction?
I get a bit surprised when they say that there is a bonus coming, and I even also heard Duncan Amwa saying that we will have no particular reason to give an excuse that we will not reduce the fares. You see, I just want to please record that whenever fares are supposed to be increased, we do have a survey to gather all the increment on all the components that determine the running cost of commercial cars. And we have been saying this often and often. And then we normally present that survey report to the Ministry of Transport, and then we all sit around and do our own mathematics and then know exactly by what margin we can adjust our fares, and then to able to put ourselves in business. And I also want to at least recall that we had said since November 2021 that the clear rush in increasing fares is not to our interest. It has some negative effect on our business. We have said that. Now, if we had not done the sort of damage it has done for this particular period we are all seeing, by February of the 7.99 jumping to March, and by May it came to 11.49, and then by June it came to 12 point something, and then it was May that we increased by 60%, and then June, July, up to now. I just want to bring it back to October. Before we had to increase this fare of 90%, the figure was 15.99, round up to 16 Citi price per liter. Now, we had agreed and adjusted our fares by 90%. 2 days later, within that, it shot up to the 23.49 or 0.50, as we all saw. Now, the worrying part on that side was that there was no further negotiation. There was no further call for another roundtable meeting as to what line of approach we have to take on this sharp increment. From the 16th, another 8 Citi was bumped into it. Now, it was left ajar, and then most of the transport operators had adjusted, some adjusted by their own margins. This is a fact I'm telling you. And if you recall, there was no communique issued to justify the margin we have increased. So what is happening is that if fuel prices now has started to come down from the 23.49 or 0.50 down to 20.44, now to 18.44 after a while, and then the total is about 18.99 or so. If the general public is putting on pressure, and then the need for car that we must reduce our fares. Those things, we will have to actually give further elaboration, a very better explanation as to why we think we still need further observation of the situation. And now, tomorrow, as I speak to you, we will be holding a meeting of that sort with the Minister of Transport. We are going to hold a meeting with him, maybe around 3 or 4 o'clock, in that regard. The call has reached him, and he says that, why can't we come out, and by what margin do we think we can reduce our fares? So all GPL2 executives, and then the officers of the GRCC will be meeting the minister to discuss issues on that same direction. But for now, we think that we still need some kind of special observation of the situation, not to rush and tell us to decrease fares. And by the next person we know it goes up, and then they tell us that we should increase again. It will not be fair.
So everything you have just said now means that we should not expect the fares of transport to reduce.
No.
What one thing can make you reduce your fares? So, for instance, if we saw another 10% drop by tomorrow, would you reduce your fares?
Yes, I just want to make that point more clearer. You see, the fact that if it comes down to the 50.9 now, or even the 60, as I mentioned, it will be fair and fair to our customers to now talk about what? Fare reduction to a certain level. And I can tell you that we are not making good business now because of the high cost of the fares. That one I can make it more honest to you that if it comes down to that margin, we don't need someone to call us and then to raise the fares.
But Godfred, you see, when you make statements like the one you've made, people would accuse you of being insensitive. When you increased your fares, it was understood because of the cost of fuel. Cost of fuel goes down, and you are still insistent on charging what you have been charging when the cost was higher. Honestly, that becomes difficult for people to comprehend. Why can't you simply adjust your fares alongside the fuel pumps?
Yeah, as a journalist, I believe whenever we talk about fare increment, we do ask what are the components that are used to determine our fare increment.
Yes, all those.
We have been saying that it is not only the fuel as you are saying now.
Yes, but over the past few months, your increases have been primarily caused by the cost of fuel, not the cost of spare parts, not the cost of maintenance and
exactly.
others.
I don't think so. If we watch within that period that fuel was galloping, dollar was equally galloping. And it affected all the spare parts.
And dollar is coming down now. So dollar is coming down, fuel is coming down. Why are you not reducing the transport fares?
That is why we are saying that. We are going to do a very close observance of this particular situation. And by the next time it comes down, we don't need somebody to tell us to reduce the fares. I said that.
Very well. Let's leave it here. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you, too.
That's Godfred Abulbere. He's General Secretary of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Let's go to the markets. The Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is a group of traders that has been doing business in our markets, fighting foreigners invading the market space. Dr. Joseph Obing is the president of that association, and he joins us on the line. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yeah, thank you so much.
If you were selling one, what's the word? The 1 pound of electrical equipment at Opera Square to me for 100 cedis because you said that the dollar was going up. Now that the dollar is going down, I expect that you reduce it to 70 or 60.
Thank you very much. It's not that simple, but let me take this opportunity that we've appealed to the conscience of our members to try as much as possible to come down with the prices, to show good faith to the people of Ghana. What we are saying does not mean that we control the trading activity. We control them because we are not in a price control regime. We are in a liberalized trade. But what we are doing is that when the exchange rate was going up, you know that we are all troubled. Our capitals were being depleted. And then we all were disturbed. And then we encourage our members to up their prices, because if you do not benchmark your prices with the dollar, then of course you are going to lose all your capital. And so the dollar went to the peak of about 15.5. And on Monday, when I realized that the dollar has come to 12, then I thought it's a reasonable reduction that we should also respond positively by reducing our prices. And that's why we appeal to the trading community to do same. But we did that with difficulty, knowing that most of our members have bought the dollar at a higher rate. You know, there was a panic buying, so most of us have bought the dollar at a relatively higher rate, and their goods are not even in. And so what we have done is to appeal to them and advise them that they should strike reasonable averages, meaning that you might have some old stock, you might have bought some of the forex at higher price, and yet too you have the opportunity to buy when the dollar is low. So we strike the necessary averages, and then we will be able to break even, as well as transferring some of the gains that we are having in the nation to the consuming public. Because the business that we do not do it in isolation. We do it with the consuming public, our customers. So if our customers are challenged to the fact that they can, because of affordability, they cannot buy the goods or patronize the goods, then we are doing ourselves harm. So that if there's opportunity, then we have to transfer some of the benefit to the consuming public. And this is certainly what we are trying to tell our members. And I know they started responding positively. And actually, it started responding last week before even the press statement came. And so, yes, we have to appeal to the conscience of our members. But our expectation of this reduction should be measured. I think the Ghanaian consuming public should also be fair. And knowing that our plight, that we have already incurred some losses by buying at a higher price, our goods are not yet in those that we have imported, and yet we have to also compensate them with some price reduction. Their expectations should be measured on these lines that I've explained.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Dr. Joseph Obing. He's president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are broadcasting from Adabraka in Accra, and around the globe we are on citynewsroom.com. Still ahead, we'll go to Morocco to gauge the mood ahead of that crucial game they have against the defenders of the World Cup, France, tonight, and which is a semi-final game, the first time an African team is going this far. But before then, we'll talk about this.
If we stop being beggars and spend Africa's monies inside the continent, Africa would not need to ask for respect from anyone.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
We're sorry to interrupt this program for a breaking news story. Information reaching us is that the whole country has been thrown into a state of joy and excitement about the new look of Total Energies lubricants. Our correspondent Kwame Owusu is standing by to bring us the very latest developments. Kwame, what exactly is the situation where you are?
Emmanuel, I must say there's a huge crowd here with drivers and customers extremely excited about the new Total Energies lubricants bottle. I have with me here one of the drivers. Hello, boss.
Yes,
you are live on Quartz 202.1 FM. Tell us the reason for your joy.
My name is War, and for 10 years, I use only Total Energies lubricants for efficiency and performance of my car engine. With a new bottle, it's easier to read, carry, and pour. New bottle design and color, new label, new cap, and security features with a QR code. Massa is the same superior oil quality. Challenge, this is performance at bedside.
So you heard it right. Total Energies lubricants bottle have been entirely redesigned into a modern and premium pack to give you the best experience. Reporting live from the capital, this is Kwame Owusu.
Quartz, keep your engine younger for longer.
There's something special happening at Heritage Christian College. Their bustling campus is right in the heart of Amasaman, just behind the Olympic Stadium. And it will amaze you what they are doing there. Heritage Christian College is churning out academic excellence with their comprehensive range of degrees, including Bachelor of Business Administration programs, IT, and theology. Don't forget to ask about their professional programs and short courses. What makes Heritage special? Heritage Christian College takes the academic experience further than ever with one laptop per student, flexible fee payment, entrepreneurial training with financial support, all delivered by a caring faculty working to develop your character and your intellect. Admissions are in progress, so call today on 054 7777 731 and get accepted. For more information, go to hcuc.edu.gh. Heritage Christian College, a university educating compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back to Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are broadcasting from Adabraka in Accra, around the globe on citinewsroom.com. Now, you do know that there's a big game coming up tonight, a game that will make Africa proud if it goes the way that we are hoping it goes. Morocco is coming up against France in the semi-finals of the World Cup in Qatar, and this has got Africans excited. We are going straight to Rabat now and speak to a Moroccan journalist in Rabat, Ahmed, who joins us on the line now. Ahmed, you're welcome to Citi FM in Accra.
Hello, Umaru. Thank you very much for calling me to speak to you. It's really a big pleasure.
How is the mood in Rabat and, Casablanca and all the big cities in Morocco tonight?
Look, Umaru, this is a great festival, football festival. It's like we are celebrating a national day here. You find people rushing to cafes. Now all cafes are already full. People put extra chairs. There are women, children, and people who never took interest in football are now following today's game because it's a really important game for Morocco, for Africa, and for all people, all fans who wish Morocco success.
You've talked about people who are not even interested in football are interested now. How high up has been the celebrations? Last week when you beat Portugal, we heard that your king was on the street celebrating himself. Tell us more about how the celebrations were when you beat Portugal and preparations tonight.
Look, after the recent wins, people take spontaneously to the street and celebrate together, raising flags and sometimes lighting flames. It's a win for a nation. It's not really a win it's not just a football game. It's a message of hope. It's a message of self-confidence, not only that Morocco is trying to send to this team. It's a message that Africa needs to believe in its own potential. It needs African people to lead its football teams because they are better placed to understand the African mentality and to unlock its potential. And this is what Morocco is doing now with this football team, which is sending a message of hope, as I said, because the world now looks and realizes that Africa is able to reach the semi-final, like to become one of the biggest best 4 teams in the world. This is a really important message that is beyond Morocco as a nation. It's also a win for the continent and a win for all people who support Morocco in Arab-speaking countries or in the Muslim world or even in the West, where there are also people who are really enjoying the Moroccan team's performance.
How big is football in Morocco?
Look, this is a football nation, and this is something else that this tournament in Qatar is showing us. If you see the number of Moroccan fans in stadiums so far, they were always the majority of fans in stadiums in which Morocco played recently. They were Moroccans. because football is the most popular sport in Morocco. And if you see titles like African championships recently for clubs, you see Moroccan clubs all taking leadership in recent years. Like this year, for example, the African Moroccan clubs won 3 African titles, and the Moroccan women team, national team, went to the final and lost. Don't remember, probably it lost to South Africa, if I still remember, but they went to the final. So this is not what I would like to say. The performance of the Moroccan team or its achievements in this World Cup is not a surprise or something unexpected. There is work that is being done, and the national team is not only made of players who believe in Morocco and who are playing in Europe or born and raised in Europe and who made the choice of their heart to play for Morocco. But there are also players who were trained here in Morocco and who made it to the national team, and now they are playing at the world stage.
Talk to us about your head coach. Often African teams have Europeans or other foreign nationals as their head coach. We are told your head coach is Moroccan, and he took this job, just 3 months ago?
Yeah, the national coach, the Walid El-Graghi, who was a former international player for Morocco, is an experimented coach because he led recently with Casablanca, one of the major teams in Morocco, to win a continental title, and he also led the FUS Rabat to win the national championship. So he started with leading Moroccan clubs to win cups. Then he was hired to lead the Moroccan national team in this World Cup, and he is showing wisdom, he is showing discipline, and he is also showing self-confidence and the capacity to dare to dream. And he always repeats this. And really a message I wanted to tell you here in this because in Ghana there is this you are majority English speaking, and in Morocco they are more the media here is more in speaking French or Arabic. But if you follow the recent press conference with Walid El-Graghi, like he said and he repeated over and over again that he will defend African football, and that he will show that African football is not to be taken lightly, that it is advanced, it has a potential to compete at the higher level, that African teams are not just here in world tournament to entertain and leave at group stage. They are here to compete for the title. Why not? Like if African countries, including Morocco, start to think this way, start to believe in their own potential and to play with global, this advanced team as equals, they can make it if they dare to believe.
You repeatedly use the word Africa. I've seen lots of debates on social media suggesting that, well, Moroccans are Arabs, and even though they are on the African map, they are not necessarily African. Is that something that you also hear back home, and how does that make you feel if you do?
I do not know where this comes from, but if you ask people, for example, from Senegal, our immediate African neighbors, with whom we have historical ties that transcend that religious ties even. Like if you see in Senegal, Mali, there are Sufi traditions that have shrines, whose founders have shrines in Morocco who come for pilgrimage, in Moroccan pilgrimage sites. If you see the human ties that we have with this West Africa, they know Morocco very well, but probably some countries in English in Africa, they do not know a lot about Morocco, but what I can say is that Morocco, it goes without saying, it's an African country by its geography, by its population. And Morocco means a lot of things. For Arabs, they consider it an Arab country because much of its population speaks Arabic, but still, the country's main stock is Amazigh. The Berbers or Amazigh people are North African people. They did not come from anywhere else. They have been always here. So Morocco is a North African country by its geography, by its population, by its language, and also by it's an African sports leader now. Leading by example. It's not like leading like that. And when you see the Moroccan coach saying this in press conferences, it's more than enough. Our continent is Africa, and the gap now that we have in Moroccan national football is to win again an African Cup of Nations, because we have only one. We are doing great in the World Cup, but we still need to compete more to win an African title.
Let's talk about the game tonight. You've beaten Spain, you've beaten Portugal, but France, that's a big one. Are you sure that you can really do well?
Well, Steph, this game probably is the hardest in the World Cup. I've been talking to people here in Morocco. There is the good thing about the Moroccan team, the players, the coach, and also the Moroccan audience, is that they are really that they don't underestimate their opponents, unlike some opponents, unfortunately. So the game with France is not going to be easy at all, because this is a semi-final game. But people here are already proud. They see their Moroccan team is playing the semi-final. I mean, it's one of the 4 best football nations now in the world. The game is not going to be easy, but they have all it takes. They have world-class players. They have the fans. They are supported by thousands of fans in stadiums and millions outside the stadium. This game means a lot for developing nations, for people who still need to unlock their potential, who need to believe in their own talents to compete at the world stage. But again, as I said, this is not the fruit of chance. There is work being done, long-term work. There are schools that teach football in Morocco.
I see.
If people who want to be great.
If they win tonight, have you been promised a holiday, or they have been promised some money by the Moroccan government?
Look, life here is really normal. It's life as usual during the day, but 2 to 3 hours before the match, you see people wearing national jerseys, you see festive scenes, you see people celebrating, selling flags, holding flags, stuff like that. But there is nothing as such as national holiday. We don't have, because Morocco wins will stop working. I don't think so, because much of Moroccan economy is a private sector economy. So private sector has its own logic. But people like today, they went to school. Schools were open, administrations were open, like life as normal, because the match starts at 8 o'clock here.
What's your personal prediction?
Sorry?
What is your prediction? What are you predicting? What will be the scoreline?
Well, if we get to win 1-0, 1-0, it will be really largely satisfying, because if you see the tactical, I'm not really well placed to talk about tactics, but I can just tell.
I just wanted your prediction, so 1-0 is fine. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Ahmad, and wish you all the best, and we are supporting you here.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Really, we have really great respect for Ghana team in Morocco, because we know Ghana through a football team mostly.
Indeed, thank you.
They used to have a very good team, and this year they made it to the World Cup. We wish you good luck in next tournaments.
Thank you so much. That's Ahmed. He's a journalist based in Rabat, the capital of Morocco, speaking to us about that game coming up tonight, the game against France, and one step forward, a huge step it is forward for Africa, indeed.
Why are you too excited?
I'm excited. I mean, Morocco
is it your team?
Is my continent. You know, my continent. You know, that's the last country before you go through the Sahara Desert and then you enter Europe. So, Charlie, that's our borderline.
I'm supporting Argentina, by the way.
Which Argentina?
Argentina.
Tonight?
Messi.
Tonight?
No, not tonight.
Tonight, who are you supporting?
You will come to that. Can we go to President?
They are not supporting Morocco. They're supporting France.
I have my personal reasons.
So you support Morocco?
I don't think so.
Oh God, we'll collect your Ghana card from you.
Hey, Sames, I beg you.
Please tell us about Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president.
Well, the president Akosua is urging African leaders to stop begging for arms from the Western world. The president contends that Africa is not accorded the needed respect due to its penchant for begging for funds from the West. He spoke at the opening of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C.
If we stop being beggars and spend Africa's monies inside the continent, Africa would not need to ask for respect from anyone. We would get the respect we deserve. Over 30 years ago, one of America's most prestigious Ivy League universities offered a course in Mandarin, which for years had virtually no takers. Today, there is standing room only. And it is not because the course is any easier. It is because the position of China has changed. 30 years ago, 20 years ago, China was nowhere near where it is today. China does not ask for anyone for respect now. She does not need it. Let us make our continent the prosperous and joyful place it should be.
Voice of President Akosua there.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citibusinessnews.com. My name is Nete Ajahu. Let's settle for the details. Economist and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Patrick, assuming has charged government to hasten efforts and put in place measures to invest more into domestic production to reduce the rate at which foreign products are imported at high costs. This, according to him, will check the rise of food inflation in the country. It comes as Ghana's inflation rate has soared further to hit 50.3% for the month of November 2022. Per the data, food inflation hit 55.3%, and non-food inflation also shot up by 7.2% to hit 46.5%. In an interview with Citi Business News, Dr. Asumin believes the focus and investment in the agri sector will help salvage the country's situation.
You know, when food prices are rising, generally there are two things happening. Either something is happening on the demand side, that means demand for food is growing, or maybe the supply is not catching up to the demand, or both. In this case, it seems like a number of cost push factors has really led to issues with food production. So it seems to me that the food inflation we are seeing is not necessarily because people are trying to consume more food. It's simply because the cost of producing food has gone up. So we really need more investment in the food production sector and to increase the efficiency with which we spend in the area of agriculture. So I think, yes, obviously when the food produced is not enough, then people struggle to get the food. And then it's also related to the fact that prices will go up. So when we don't produce enough food, the prices will rise, and that means that many people will struggle to be able to afford purchasing the food.
Economist Dr. Patrick Isumin speaking there. Energy consultant Benjamin Nsia is tipping the price of petrol to hit 14 Ghana cedis per litre or lower soon. This represents about a 10% drop in the current price of the commodity, which currently stands at an average of 15.4 cedis a litre. It comes as a major relief for consumers after fuel was almost sold at 18 Ghana cedis a litre last month. Mr. Nsia has been explaining what is accounting for this anticipated drop in prices.
So beginning 16th, petroleum users should expect quite drastic decline in the price of petroleum products because of one, the cedi has seen stability and appreciating against the dollar, and two, prices of petroleum products on the international market are continuously declining. So I expect that beginning this particular date, prices of petroleum products will decline by about at least 10%, and that means that petrol will go for a maximum of 14 Ghana cedis per litre, and diesel will go for a maximum of 16 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos per litre. However, due to competition, others are likely to sell petrol below 18 Ghana cedis beginning this particular window, and then others are also likely to sell diesel below 16 Ghana cedis. And the reason is that there are many OMCs and many BDCs, and because of the competition, others would like to decrease their prices so they can stay in business and also serve the petroleum user.
Benjamin Nsia is an energy consultant. Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Ursula Owusu-Kufu, says more must be done to increase the number of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics sector STEM-related careers in the country. According to the Ministry of Communications, as of 2021, only 30% of women in Ghana are in STEM-related careers, with the aim of increasing the percentage to 40% by 2031. In an interview with Citi Business News on the sidelines of the launch of Seats for Ladies in STEM organized by the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications and Socioeconomic Development.
That if we give our young people the skills that they require, they can compete in the global world of work within the next 10 years. They're already doing exploits. In many of the meetings in which we have gone, where they've been given an opportunity, they are winning awards. Innovations from Ghana are winning international awards. They're world-class. We're utilizing it. Many of the interventions that we're using in our country today were developed by Ghanaian entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs. And we can mention the national ID, the digital property address system, even our mobile money interoperability system, even the SIM registration application. They were all developed by local Ghanaian companies. So if we give them the chance, the government is the largest procurer of goods and services. So if government also procures these innovative applications and systems developed by our young people, it also gives them a chance to grow and showcase what they're doing on the national and international arena. And we're committed to supporting that development.
Industry. This is in line with government's intention of developing a pharmaceutical manufacturing policy to turn out pharmaceutical products in the country.
Pharmaceutical industries to be able to operate well in this country. So government is doing everything possible to give support so that we'll be able to work well and develop the industry.
That was a deputy
Me tycoon. Hey, na sika be bra ukra na patututu. Tie ncheche mu ahodo aye mani na ye mpo ansa na wudu sika nyina di akoniaba. Te se ne ye 1995. Ah, 11 ne de. Abawo. Na so nim say ya MTN de. Obe sort en out.
Ah, MTN be sort me out sesen.
Ho, enti wonim say nyama ahodo bi wo ho a. Ya nje 11 wo so. Te se wo transfer sika ye de free account ba akoso. E de akọ account for ya broche. Ana se wo tua wo taxes. We nyina ye nte 11 e wo so.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Tie, jumedi ahodo pi wo ho a. Wo de MTN momo ye a. 11 tax no enka no hwe. Bebre so ka ho kra o. Sa kan se e de bia 100 Ghana cedi a edi kan a wo be transfer no. Ye nte wo hwe.
Hey, na minimo.
Afei de wonim. Jumedi ahodo bebre wo ho a. Wo de wo MTN momo ye a. Ye nte 11 tax wo so. Enti koso ne nya ho bambo. Ene ahotoso papa bia. MTN momo ko na tumi ye ma wo. Na tumi fa MTN momo so. Etueche waka nyina ntentam so.
MTN.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/ with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
News. My name is Umaru, Sanda. Amadu. Tonight on Point Blank, the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament has expressed worry over the Ministry of Roads' high indebtedness of 5.9 billion cedis to contractors at the Ghana Road Fund Secretariat. This follows the approval of an amount of over 5 billion.
25,339,626 cedis for the services of the Ministry of Roads and Highways for the year ending 31st December 2023. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Motion ably moved by the Minister. In so doing, I'll present your committee's report. Mr. Speaker, your committee met the officials from the Ministry of Roads and Highways on Tuesday, the 6th of December to consider their budget estimate for the year 2023. Mr. Speaker, in view of limited time on my side, I wouldn't want to go through the entire report, but I will select a few portions of it and urge the Answer Department to capture the entire report as being read. Mr. Speaker, when we met the officials at the committee level, one of the key issues that came before the committee was delay in payments to contractors. Mr. Speaker, the ministry made us to understand that as a result of delays in payments to contractors, it's affecting the ministry's work. It's affecting some ongoing projects, and as a result of that, we urge the finance ministry to ensure that they release funds timely to the ministry so that they can pay contractors, so that they can also carry on or go on with continue with the ongoing project. Another issue too was on paragraph 9.5, indebtedness of the ministry. Mr. Speaker, where at the committee level, if we were made to understand that if you put the current indebtedness to contractors in terms of interim payment certificates that have been raised by contractors under road fund and GOD, it is almost about 10 billion. And Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious issue, 10 billion, a very serious issue that needs to be addressed immediately. Because, Mr. Speaker, if we don't pay, as this money piles up or keeps increasing, it will be attracting or delaying, it will be attracting interest on delay payment. So at the end of the day, it is a country that will suffer, that will be paying more. So we are urging the finance ministry to ensure that they have to come out with a plan, proper plan, so that they will be able to show us how this indebtedness will be cleared, this 10 billion will be cleared. And it's an issue that we have taken up, and we believe the ministry will look at it going forward. Mr. Speaker, the last issue is 9.6, paragraph 9.6, talking about the capping of the road fund. Mr. Speaker, road infrastructure is very key, and we are aware, everybody calling for road, everybody wanting road to be constructed. The only way that we can, about 80% of the money that we get for the road fund, it goes into direct road infrastructure work. And if they cap it, it now creates problem for the ministry, because that is the money that they have to even use some for remedial maintenance and other things. So, Mr. Speaker, the purpose of the fund is to use the money to work on our roads. And therefore, it is important that even if we want to cap it, it will not be that, because we, in this house, we have passed a law to cap it. But we should find a way that this sector is very critical, and therefore we cannot cap the road fund to the detriment of the ministry, whereby they find it difficult to even get money to pay the contractors. So we are urging the finance minister to look at how he has been capping the fund that goes to the road fund, which is being used to pay road contractors. Because if you want the road contractors to do the work, then we need to ensure that we don't cap it excessively, which will create a lot of problem for the ministry. Mr. Speaker, I'll move straight to conclusion. And after we have considered all this matters at the committee level, we were convinced, and we think their budget allocation for the year need to be approved. And therefore, I am recommending to the House for the approval of an amount of 5,295,355,626 Ghana cedi for the activities of the Ministry of Roads and Highway for the financial year ending 31st December 2023. Mr. Speaker, I will respectfully submit.
Mr. Speaker, I will start from where my chairman just stopped. Mr. Speaker, if you look at Appendix 2B of the
2023 budget. The Finance Ministry is projecting that road fund will generate about 2 billion Ghana cedi this year. But Mr. Speaker, if you turn to page 4 of the report, there's a table there that talked about some allocations that have been disbursed. Road fund, 612 million. Fidelity, 791 million. Bonds, 256 million. Mr. Speaker, the total of this money is just about 1.6 billion. Basically, what it means is that all that we've been spending from GOG on road is less than what the road fund generates. So government itself doesn't put a penny into road construction in this country. The sad story is that, though, Mr. Speaker, whilst the road ministry, as my chairman said, owns contractors in excess of 10 billion, these monies are generating interest. Sometimes it gets to a point where 40% of what is given to, is paid out, is interest. It's of no value to the ministry, no value to the contractor, no value to anybody. So, Mr. Speaker, why do you collect people 2 billion and not give them, and rather go to Fidelity and go and raise a pond? Mr. Speaker, this cannot continue. Like my chairman is saying, and also often when we approve this, and then we complain later, somebody will say, were you sleeping when you approved it? For me, I'm approving this on condition, or I'm supporting this on condition that the Finance Ministry should take a critical look at decapping the road fund, because it is counterproductive to cap the road fund and now pay interest on it. Mr. Speaker, it will be important that we urge the minister to bring the road fund back to Parliament also. When we contribute money to the road fund, and the road minister has no control over the fund, road contractors are paid sometimes at the Ministry of Finance. Why should the Finance Ministry be paying road contractors? Meanwhile, the money actually belongs to the road ministry. Should we not be paying this money into an escrow rather, so that we can hold the road minister accountable for the utilization of that money? I think the road minister should consider that, Mr. Speaker. Then we go to page 9. PPP arrangement on Temamoto Way. Mr. Speaker, the Temamoto Way, if we were to take the minister's statement from 2019, 2020, and 2021, the Accra Temamoto Way should have been at least 60-70% complete now. Mr. Speaker, I'm afraid the minister's proposal in paragraph 9 is still going to lead us perpetually to not doing anything on the motorway. Mr. Speaker, I am not aware of any PPP project on any road project in this country which is viable. I am not aware that the ministry has engaged any PPP on any road project which is ongoing successfully. The closest we saw was the, Pokwasi, Tos, and Sawam, which is called co-funding. Mr. Speaker, we encourage the minister, look at another alternative of funding the Accra Temamoto Way. What the finance minister is proposing here will perpetually lead you to be promising and failing. He's setting you up for another failure. Run away from him. Tell him to change this agreement. This particular one is not in your interest. Mr. Speaker, this is my advice to our senior colleague, the road minister, on this. Mr. Speaker, delayed payment to contractors. Mr. Speaker, I am sure you know contractors. Everybody in this house know contractors that have worked and are not being paid. Mr. Speaker, I have a particular case of a 76-year-old lady who have done roadside cutting. The lady is suffering from kidney failure currently. His 16,000 Ghana cedi is still in abeyance. Mr. Speaker, the road fund can pay this. And whilst I'm talking, the deputy leader, who is the chairman of the road fund board, should have been making effort to pay this lady. But he is not doing anything about it. He's not even listening to me. Mr. Speaker, you see what I'm saying? He's not even listening to me.
You are out of order to personalize your debate.
So, Mr. Speaker, the lack of the delayed payment to contractors is making us all poor. And the difference is that when these contractors leave site, the roads deteriorate and we pay more for it. Mr. Speaker, the last point I want to make is the reintroduction of the road toll. Mr. Speaker, I will thank the minister for gathering the courage for suggesting the reintroduction of the road toll. I don't know what the senior minister and your former general secretary who told Mr. Speaker to go and collect the tolls himself, if he wants to collect it, will be saying today. And I've heard people on the other side saying that they are introducing the toll only on selected roads. May I ask you if all the roads in Ghana have ever been tolled? No. Tolling has always been on selected roads in this country. So there's no point saying that when you introduce it, it will be on selected roads. Those roads in Adapu were never tolled. So we don't take any interest in telling you we told you so. But the same principle by which we told you don't cancel or suspend the road toll, we are standing on the same principle by saying that we support you bringing the road toll back. We are even ready to discuss how much you should charge. In fact, Mr. Speaker, if my chairman drives a V8 and you charge him 5 cedis for crossing the motorway, Ghanaians will not cry for him, because if he can afford to drive a V8, he should be able to pay that. But the same way, do not go and introduce a new road toll regime without prior consultation with stakeholders, including Parliament, so that we can agree on how much we can raise. Mr. Speaker, we believe we can build some roads on the back of road tolls. It cannot be the only thing we do, but we will support the minister if he brings that into the equation. Mr. Speaker, I've already talked about the capping of the road fund, and I don't think it's in the interest of this House to support or keep supporting the capping of the road fund particularly. We need to decap the road fund so that the minister can get access to the 2.5 billion that we project the road fund will generate this year for us to improve our roads in this country. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Access to durable quality roads remains a challenge in my constituency, in Bekwai and in many other constituencies that are crying for attention for work that have commenced to be completed. Mr. Speaker, ordinarily, I should be asking for us to set aside this report and not proceed to approve it. I hope that the Minister for Roads will be at it with me. Mr. Speaker, this report should be approved only when the Minister for Finance comes to assure us that road fund will no longer be capped. That should be the position of this House. He should come to this House that will only approve your budget on condition that he liberalizes and gives you freedom to have access to your road fund. Mr. Speaker, may I refer you to page 14, the paragraph 9.4. The requirement for the road sector is 15.4 billion. 15.4. And Mr. Speaker, let's not take this matter for granted. When you award a road contract, contractor is aside. He has done a certain amount of work. If for 2 to 3 years you don't pay the contractor, the road deteriorates into a state even before you awarded it. That occasions cost to the state. You have already paid money to the contractor. And Mr. Speaker, again, my observation, many of the contractors who borrowed money from those financial institutions that have so been collapsed, payments to them didn't go to the contractor. It went to the banks, the receiver. So the contractor, it meant that the contractor didn't get money to go back to site to continue work. So, Minister for Roads, the deterioration of work done already is not acceptable to us. That you should come back and say that we should capping of road fund. We should take a position. We will not approve your report. We will approve this report. Let the Minister for Finance come and assure us that road fund has been taken off capping. Because, Mr. Speaker, every day I get calls from contractors for non-payment. Non-payment. A friend of mine who is on one of the major roads in Kumasi called me, Mr. Speaker, my chief, you have to help me. Now, Haruna, that man number 12. He said this morning, that man number 12. A friend of mine. So, Mr. Speaker, the road contractors are saying that when will you pay them? Then, Minister, what the Honorable Kwame Abuja have raised, I'm looking at it from a different angle. And Mr. Speaker, may I refer you to page 4 of the report. When in your committee's report, Chairman, you say fidelity. We don't know what fidelity means. If you want to say Fidelity Bank, say so. because government must know its obligations to Fidelity Bank, because we know that some of the certificates have been serviced by them. What is the amount of money outstanding in respect of Fidelity Bank? Are we to count that as part of the arrears owed to the road sector or to the road fund? We need to know. You just put in a word and say Fidelity. Fidelity doesn't mean anything to us. If you want to say Fidelity Bank, Mr. Speaker, page 4, say so. But when you say bonds, which bonds are you referring to? We just see bonds. And then, Mr. Speaker, Fidelity, I've seen 269.82 in respect of Fidelity. So if you are saying Fidelity Bank, say so. Then the bonds, which bonds are you talking about? Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. We should know how much money government have taken from Fidelity Bank.